West Virginia is going to be in Provo tomorrow in what seems an impossible game to win, but they got some pretty good news about their running back, Tye Edwards. The battering ram could be back.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, baby, where we're talking about the Mountaineers again on the football side of things, of course, today, and we're thankful to do so every day, of course. This episode is going to be brought to you by our good friends over at Mazda. Right now, like our players, we sweat every detail. And look, because you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward with Mazda, where we can move and be moved. I'm not here alone. I'm actually here with somebody I was able to meet while in Provo. He is a true legend around there and in this profession we like to call broadcasting. Dave McCann is a guy who is on BYU TV. He's been there for a long time. He has the Wise Guys podcast. He is a Deseret News sports columnist. He does a little bit of everything, and we've got him here. It's a pleasure to have you on, Dave McCann.
Hey, it's an honor to be with you tonight. We wish you were out here. I'm still not sure why you're not.
I'm sorry.
The team got here a short time ago. We got a police escort from Salt Lake down to Provo, and they're settling into the Marriott downtown. And now the long wait is on for 10:30 Eastern time tomorrow night.
I forgot to mention one other prerequisite. You play like you're 5'11".
That's right. 5'9", play like I'm 5'11". Celebrating the Cubs today for extending their life in the postseason. Now they can go beat the Brewers, and that's always a big day. Even out here in Utah, it's a big day when the Cubs win.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Reds. I don't know how you feel about that, but
it's rough. I'm glad they were close. We
invite you over. Help us out. None of us care for the Brewers.
Oh, that's true. That is true. I don't mind to root for the Cubbies. I've never really had much against them. My very first game I ever saw was the Cubs against the Reds in Great American Ballpark.
Oh, yeah.
So, it was fun. And it was also the debut of Jay Bruce and Joey Votto. They both played that same game coming up from the Dayton Dragons. So, it was a really cool experience, and obviously that was a whole new era for the Reds. It's unfortunate their talents were wasted in a lot of ways, but at the same time, it was a great time because I was with my dad, and it was good times, man. But
our mom was born in Chicago, and we wanted to be like her brothers, and they were Cub fans. So now we've got 100 in our family once you count everybody, and they're all in on the Cubs, and none of us care for the White Sox, and certainly not the Cardinals.
Well, how about BYU? Do you care about BYU still? Because, obviously this game is going to be interesting. And we got an update right before, just a little bit ago about the running back Tye Edwards, who obviously had a breakout game against Pittsburgh, is a 262, 230-pound battering ram. He really changes the game for West Virginia running attack-wise. He's one of those guys that you don't have to have a perfect block for. He can bash through the hole, kind of like a Carson Hansen, if you will, or somebody like that. And, he's been updated from questionable to probable, which is great because I think it's with a young quarterback like Khalil Wilkins, a redshirt freshman who's going to make his first start. A few weeks ago we were told that the situation West Virginia was in at Kansas situationally, like by the data, was the worst one in college football this year. Kansas was coming off the bye. Lance Leopold is undefeated off the bye in his career. West Virginia was coming off the backyard brawl, and Kansas had a bye week. So those factors all combined put West Virginia situationally in the worst situation of the season, and I wonder if this could be the second worst because this is a bad situation for West Virginia, as beat up as they are. But it almost seems like, Dave, when you're in situations like this, miracles can happen, and give my Mountaineers some hope.
Yeah, Oklahoma State came out here last year. They were terrible, but not on that. And BYU turned it over and helped them out a little bit, and they needed a miraculous finish just to win the game.
Right.
And then Kansas came in last year, and BYU turned the ball over, kicked it around a little bit, and got beat. And they should have beat Kansas blindfolded. But that's the cool thing about sports is once the players come out and the media is up in the press box or back in Morgantown, or then the players settle it, and it's strength against strength tomorrow. It's the run defense for BYU, and West Virginia's got to run the football. They did it okay against Utah in a game they were never really in. By the way, BYU fans were pulling for West Virginia.
I was told how many won.
Yeah, and so that's what it comes down to. So that's good news for the Mountaineers to get their running back back. He's running into the best run defense in the Big 12, and something's going to give. He might have a career night, or BYU may hold their ground, and that probably will determine what happens.
So kind of give me an overview of how the season's gone this year without – we'll go into players next segment. Just give me an overview of just the year up until now for BYU. What's it been like? How have there been ups and downs, or has it pretty much been a steady ascent?
You come out of spring football with Jake Retzlaff expected to be the quarterback.
I was in Provo when this happened.
Yeah, and as skewed as the AP top 25 is, when that came out, had Retzlaff been here, BYU probably would have been 14th, 15th, which means by now they would have been in the top 10 and contending for the opportunity to get one to the Big 12 championship game as an expectation, and then challenge for the college football playoff. When Jake left after the trouble in the offseason and the suspension that he was going to serve for honor code violations, he didn't want to sit half his last season. I get it, and I know Jake really well, and so he left. But when that happened, it changed everything as far as expectation. So when the AP poll comes out, BYU's 26 instead of 12 or 13, and now they're at 23, which shows you what they've been able to overcome with a true freshman quarterback, because the rest of the team's pretty good. Defense is number one in the league. The running attack's number one in the league. The kicker's one of the best in the country. So special teams, defense, and most of the offense was built to go win a championship. And then you throw in a teenager at quarterback who's fresh out of high school. That was the big question mark. So how are they doing? They're 4-0, as you know. Bear Bachmeier has 10 touchdowns and no turnovers, which is insane. They had an easy game against Portland State, which was great to break in a high school kid. Then it got a little bit tougher against Stanford. Stanford's not the Stanford that you and I used to know, but they're still big and strong up front, better defense. Then they had a bye, and then they went back east to East Carolina. And the Pirates are pretty good.
That's a tough place to play.
Yeah. And then they win that one convincingly. Then they go to Boulder and play a jacked up Colorado team after the bowl game. I mean, they came out for blood. In that first quarter to jump out 14-0, and they looked like they were going to get it done. But, under that setting, Bachmeier, again, no turnovers the whole game. The defense holds its ground. They come back. By the end of the game, BYU has beaten Colorado, and that brings them to tomorrow night, their first home game in 27 days. So they're happy to be back. It's been a while. And I don't think they could be in a better situation than what they're in right now. Health-wise, they're okay. A couple of guys dinged up, but nothing like what West Virginia's dealing with. And their quarterback is getting better and better, learning on the job. And that could have gone two different directions. And instead, it's gone the direction of, hey, this kid has some stuff, and he has the it factor, and he's not throwing 400 yards. He's not rushing for 150. So it's not a gimmick thing. It's just he's running the offense, and he's not turning the ball over. And gosh, for a first month of the season to be able to do that, they're feeling pretty good. I don't think they think they're world beaters. And there's a reality check or two coming up. There's certainly some turnovers coming up for this young guy. But until they get there and you keep winning, that's how you put a special season together.
Yeah, I was listening to Three Guys, which is a West Virginia podcast with three guys that are all affiliated with the university. Tony Career, who we were talking about earlier, play-by-play guy, and one of his, guy that does the show with him, used to work in the West Virginia athletic department, and then Hoppy Kirchable, who is very well known in West Virginia as a columnist. We're talking about Bachmeier and how he's been so pristine this year. But he has, if there's one thing, it's like you were alluding to, it's not if, but probably when he turns it over. He has been involved in some turnover-worthy plays that just haven't been turnovers. He's kind of been lucky a couple times. Right. So, it's going to happen at some point. West Virginia, one thing they've been good at this year is that, getting turnovers. The margin would be great if we didn't have 5 fumbles against Robert Morris in the first game of the year. Yeah. Unfortunately, that really hurts your margin. So, they've got a good defense. It's really, the word of the week for me is attrition. I think because, it's basically been a constant struggle with the offense. We went on 3 and out on 7 straight possessions against Kansas. No defense in history is ever going to play well after that, right? And I think this defense, which was really good early on, top 25 or 30 defense early on through up until Kansas. Maybe it's talent. I think it's more attrition and injuries. But Zach Alley's, I believe he's going to be an elite defensive coordinator. He's already very good. I think he'll have something cooked up for Bear that he hasn't seen yet. And that's going to be the challenge for him today, Dave. And I'm curious have you thought much about the Zach Alley part of this equation?
The thing with Bear is when you're dealing with a kid this young, anything could sneak up and surprise him, right?
That's true. Yeah,
different blitz package could throw him off. But one thing he does have at 6'3" and 235 is he's hard to bring down. And
kind of like Taysom?
The Colorado game. Yeah, a little bit like Taysom, only without the experience of how hard to hit that hole. It might just be like, hey, I think I'm just going to go over here. There's going to come a time when he goes, I'm there. And man, he's going to be a load when that happens. Right now, he's still figuring it out, but that buys him an opportunity to get yards out of a broken play. It takes a bunch of dudes to bring him down, and he can be brought down. There's no question. It's just we haven't seen it yet. And Colorado, no shortage.
We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, no shortage of talent on Colorado's guys. They just haven't been able to put it together yet. And they were in on him a few times, and he got away. He had 100-something yards until he took a knee toward the end and slipped back to 98.
Jerem said the same thing.
They were hard-earned yards. But here's the difference. They've got a tight end this year in the offense, Carson Ryan, who is another big kid. He's already got more yards than any tight end got last year for the whole season, with 192 on 12 catches and a couple of touchdowns. Chase Roberts is one of the better receivers in the Big 12, certainly with hands. He's their possession guy. And if Bear needs a pass to be caught, I think Chase is priority number one. Every team seems to have a number one. He would be that. And then L.J. Martin, who leads the Big 12 in rushing, is not he's not a Earl Campbell, right? He's not going to just run you over, or a Scattaboo. Maybe we'll go Scattaboo. That's more in our generation. He's not a Scattaboo, but he's 6'2" and 225 and tough to tackle. But what he can do is he can get yards, and Bear can get yards. And if they have to punt because it didn't work out, then their defense comes out. And they're like, sweet, it's not a penalty to give the ball up in a punt. When in growing up here with Jim McMahon and even through Steve Young, Robbie Bosco, Ty Detmer, if you had to punt, this something went terribly wrong. Well, this year, if you have to punt, it's like, okay, pin them in and let the stronger part of the team come out. And last year, they were the number one defense in the Big 12. You got a lot of those guys back, and so here they come. And statistically, they're right there. Number one in total defense, number two in rush defense, number three in pass defense, and number one in scoring defense. Wow. And then you go, all right, well, how's West Virginia match up with that? And the highest number they got to 11 in those four categories. And so on paper, if you're Vegas, on paper, you look at it and you go, okay, it's about a 19.5 point spread. Right. When the guys come out and they kick off, never mind any of that. Now it's, can you tackle our fast guy? Can we tackle your fast guy? And that's why we'll watch, right? If we already knew it was going to be a 19-point game, we'd go do something else. But
right.
The excitement of it all is this kid that's going to make his first start at quarterback in front of 64,000 fans late at night with a little chance of rain against one of the best defenses in the country. These are stories where legends are made. And,
and look, Pat White did this very thing in 2006 as a redshirt freshman. He made his first start.
Yeah, and it sticks with you. I'm going to interview Jeff Hostetler tomorrow on our pregame show.
Legend.
The biggest thing he did in his first game is he went to Norman and upset Oklahoma.
That's
People
true.
remember that stuff, and then they become legends, and then they do stuff later on. But
was that the bowl game?
It was I think it was his first start in season opener in '82.
Season opener. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure.
They go to Norman and they beat them like 41-27 or whatever. But that's where it started for him. And it might not start that way for Khalil in Provo, but it might. You got to watch.
It might.
Yeah.
It might.
And if it does, it'll shock the Big 12 and it'll get Rich Rod rejuvenated. And
that's what he needs, right? As you know, for this
Sure.
offense. So let's have a break real quick because you mentioned that defense, and I want to ask you about a couple of those guys. You've got the best linebacker duo maybe in the country. I don't even really like to say maybe in the country because I think it's the best duo in the country. We'll talk about them next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. And look, when you're talking about FanDuel, it's pretty simple. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. That's if you win that first $5 bet. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Whether a casual fan or love driving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience a lot better, man. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started, and we'll be here waiting on you. And, of course, our good friends over at Square College have something to say as well, as there are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that are an extension of home, if you will. And whether it's a sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for game day, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years, these businesses are what bring people together. When businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Try out Kegler's, if I could urge you to go somewhere in Morgantown, a local spot where Rich Rod does his show, a lot of lore there, a lot of game day atmosphere, and go support them there. And look, Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. And we'll see you at Square. See you in the neighborhood. And we are back with the legendary Dave McCann, 5'11" instead of 5'9". A great scorer.
You tell my brothers I'm going to be in big trouble. So let's just keep this between us.
So, okay. Educate my Mountaineer peeps on, obviously this defense, it starts with the linebackers, but you've got 5 billion safeties. You've got a corner in Evan Johnson it's played elite ball this year. Maybe elite's a strong word, but he's been a strong player. The only negative I can even think about is you're down the running back that cleared the way for your quarterback a lot last week. Other than that, I mean, you're pretty well good to go, but that defense, man, I'd love to hear some more about it.
To set the scene, let's go back to a couple years ago when BYU came back to Morgantown.
Oh, no.
And they got beat 37-7. They couldn't stop anything.
Garrett
and that was
Green.
BYU's first year in the Big 12. It was Jake Retzlaff's first start. Keaton Slovis.
I remember.
But BYU came back from that game going, we got to get bigger, stronger, faster, and we got to do it right away. Last year, the two teams didn't play, and BYU was bigger, stronger, faster, and went 11-2 and had the number one defense in the Big 12 statistically. Here they come this year, and they're 4-0 out of the gate. but statistically, again, number one defense in the Big 12. That's the difference between the team that West Virginia saw 2 years ago and the team they're going to see tomorrow night. A couple of those guys are still around that remember the sting of that one. But it wasn't just a sting, and it wasn't a tip ball defeat and all that. It was a bushwhacking. And probably, and West Virginia, a BYU fan would tip the cap to West Virginia and go, hey, thanks, you gave us the blueprint for what needs to happen for BYU. And so then they went out and did it, hired Jay Hill, and here they go.
What a great hire.
Yeah, he's a better guy than he is coach, and that makes it fun to be around.
Well, he comes out of the D2 ranks?
Came from Weber State, but he'd been an assistant at Utah all over the place. Yeah. He'll be hard to hold on to if it keeps going like this. But right now they're in it. He's a good friend of Kalani's. And so Jack Kelly was one of his linebackers at Weber State. And Jack Kelly came down here to be in Jay Hill's defense. And he's one of the outstanding linebackers you'll see tomorrow night. He's number 17. And then on the other side is number 16, Isaiah Glasker. Glasker's 6'5", 240. Kelly is 6'2", 242. Glasker played offense in high school, and so he's got he had an interception to seal the game last week against Colorado. Had an amazing pick to end the game at the Alamo Bowl against Colorado as well. But so he does some things different than Jack Kelly. Jack Kelly has closing speed that's impressive, and he's got 4 sacks, leads the team, 25 and a half career sacks. Bunch of those were at Weber State, and then down here at BYU. His goal is to get, I think, 12 this year, so he's on track for that. Glasker is he's got 20 career tackles for loss, but he's got speed too and can catch.
He's got a neck roll.
He's got a neck roll and served a mission for the church, so he was away from football for 2 years.
Nice,
but is back, and those two guys, and I agree with you, those two guys are the best tandem in the Big 12, and there's some good linebackers in the Big 12. And they may be among the best in the country. I believe they are. We'll see tomorrow night. Glasker was a little bit dinged up, but he's on the list as probable for tomorrow. And then Jack Kelly is just a freight train. But those two guys, and Siale Acera is the third linebacker that you'll see all over the place. Those three guys anchor that defense. And if Khalil's gonna take off and be a runner tomorrow night, you'll see Jack Kelly be a spy and just.
He looks like a Jack Kelly.
Yeah, right there. He'll be a spy and just live at the line of scrimmage, and then wait for Khalil to make his move, and then Kelly will go after him. And he's fast enough to cut down any quarterback in the country. And Keaton Salter's pretty fast for Colorado. And Kelly was a nightmare.
He did some damage early in that game. Yeah. Keaton Salter did.
Once they got through the first quarter, BYU came in. They expected Colorado to throw a lot more because they had been out of necessity. But Salter came in and they were just running it, and they had BYU on skates. It was 14-0. They made some adjustments and 9 yards in the fourth quarter when it mattered. And BYU's defense, all of a sudden, Salter could not get around the corner. And all of a sudden, the lanes in the middle were not open. And even Dion said after the first quarter, we couldn't do anything. But that's because BYU stopped getting fancy on blitzes. And they said, guys, we're going to put a spy on Salter. We'll play our base defense and see if they can beat us. And they couldn't. So, they'll adjust a little bit. They're pretty good about making those kind of adjustments. But, you can make adjustments when you have talent and when you have speed. And they've got talent and speed on defense.
It just comes out of Jimmy's and Joe's sometimes, right?
Yeah, and Tanner Wall's an outstanding safety, which is the quarterback of the defense. And then they've gotten a little better up front with a couple of transfers. Kirkland from Oklahoma State and Tanavasa from Utah.
Kirkland's a really good player.
Yeah, he just started playing last week because he got hurt in camp. But he's healthier and healthier, and he'll have a bigger role tomorrow night. He's 340, huge guy, big. You can fill up the middle pretty easily with those guys. But that's their secret to defense. It's speed and experience and really good players. So go back again to the debut, the baptism back there in Morgantown, and BYU's going to look a whole lot different than they did when they showed up a couple years ago.
And I think it gives West Virginia hope too, because here we are in the midst of, I mean, we're not, it's not an emergency yet, but we're 2-3. Yeah. You're in the middle of 80 new players. You're down to 14 players on the IR, and most of them are starters. You're down your number 1 quarterback, your number 2 quarterback, your number 3 quarterback, your number 1 running back, your number 2 running back, your number 3 running back. It's one of those situations where it's like, oh my God, it's hard enough to go doom and gloom. And then you look at BYU and say, well, look at the turnaround they've made in 2 years, although with continuity of the same head coach. But, and I don't know if you saw this, but Ren Baker, who we love Ren Baker around here. He's elite. He got the university to agree they put out a public statement joint with the Board of Governors that we're going to put West Virginia in the top funding tier of the Big 12, whatever that looks like. That's a huge investment. I'm curious. I asked Jerem this is, I'm not going to ask you specifically BYU, and I'm not going to pretend to know that you even know. But do you have an idea of what that would look like for West Virginia? Ren Baker's saying, we're going to make sure we're in the top funding tier of the Big 12.
It's hard to say.
4 or 5, right?
Yeah. Everyone's commitment is different. For years, all we heard about was how much money T. Boone Pickens was dumping into Oklahoma State's program. And now look at it. The last 2 years, they've just been nowhere near what their investment was. And now Oklahoma is back in the top 15. So I'm sure that, that's one of the reasons that Mike Gundy probably had to go, is he's just lost it. And you can lose it so fast, and you can lose backing by some key people so fast. So the challenge is to win and do that at the same time. And that's super hard. Most programs don't do it. Because when you're winning, everyone wants to jump on board. In the glory years of West Virginia, there was no needs, right? The glory years of Alabama, they have everything they need. All of a sudden, they stop going to the championship game, and the coach starts crying he needs more money. I'm not sure exactly what that would look. We know that each school needs $20 million a year, right, to pay the student athletes. So you can start with that number.
Then you have to outside the cap what? I think that's the big question. Is it 7? Is it 8? Is it 15? I don't know. You hear numbers, obviously. I think BYU and Texas Tech are 1 and 2. Although Jerem pushed back against that. He said, I don't know if BYU's number 2. I would say that it seems that way. Anyways, obviously Texas Tech is number 1. I don't know if anybody will reach into the 30s like they have. It's not into the 50s like people thought. But, I've got people.
Hey, let's see if it works out for them. There are probably a lot of people going, can you just buy a program? And can you buy a program that you can sustain? Every now and then you get
That's a great point.
Mansa comes in for basketball. Well, he's here for 1 year. What does that mean for next year?
Exactly.
There's not an AJ coming here every year.
Has that been BYU's philosophy? Is that their philosophy going forward? Is we're going to bring in the guys we like, and we're going to pay them to stay?
BYU's philosophy has always been recruit the best who will be good fits here.
Yeah.
And when you say a fit here at BYU,
we're the same in that.
There's the honor code, and there's all those things,
of course,
that are important. And there are a lot of kids who want to come here that BYU's like, man, this isn't your place.
Yeah.
You should go somewhere else if this is what you want to do.
But I some changes if you're going to come here.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be perfect. None of us are, but hey, if there's an honor code, live it. And if you don't want to live it, go somewhere else.
If you're going to make the commitment, right?
Yeah,
I'm with that.
But BYU isn't in the business of buying players. They're in the business of being fair. But and I would bet BYU's NIL for football is probably near the lowest in the league, because it's competitive, but it's not over the top. There's no $3 million quarterback on this roster.
Right. Certainly not here either.
No, and there's not going to be, because that's not the business we're in. However, what Kalani has done, and I know Rich Rod said some nice things about him in his press conference.
Call him the role model. Yeah.
Yeah, he's built a culture, and a culture sells a program. There are some kids that are just going to be top dollar athletes, okay? And Ohio State, Michigan, and Oregon can have him. Every now and then, like Ryder Lyons, a 5-star quarterback, he chose BYU. But he chose BYU for a number of reasons. One, he grew up cheering for BYU. He's going on a mission, so that culture is part of his life. And BYU's good, and he wants to go to the NFL. I mean, there's no dings there. If it was all about money, he would have said yes to Oregon. But sometimes it's not all about money. It's about, I'm going to meet my wife there. I'm going to get an education there. And parents love to hear from a head coach that isn't saying, hey, you know what? We just want to buy your kid. Buy him for a season, and you can do with him what you want. It's, hey, Kalani's pitch is BYU can be a great place for you to get an education, to live a lifestyle that will be conducive to making good choices, and we can prepare you for the NFL if you're good enough to go. And a parent wants to hear that, as opposed to all we're in it is to get your kid 12 games and they can do what he wants. Now, for the kid, he might go, that's all I want to do. I just want to play. But parents, we have kids, and parents are like, what's in the best interest of my kid's life?
Right.
And culture wins there. And culture can outbid even the highest bidder on certain things. AJ DeBanza could have gotten so much more money other places, but his real decision to come here was Kevin Young's an NBA guy. The strength coach is from the Bucks. The staff is from the NBA Europe, this G League, the league itself. And he's got 1 year to get ready to be the number 1 pick in the draft. Oh, and they're in the Big 12. They play in an arena that seats 20,000 people, and they're on TV all the time. And there's a culture there of non-distractions. If you're looking for non-distractions, you can find it here in Provo. Now, where's the ding in that for a kid who wants to be the number 1 pick? Now, for a kid who wants to be great and party on the weekends, there's somewhere else for you to go. But it's not here. And AJ wanted this because he's focused on where he wants to go. And that sells, and that is attractive to families with top-notch athletes. And I think sometimes we just think it's just money. People just always take the money. And if they're good enough, they're going to get money, right?
Right.
You go to college and graduate, you get a job, you get paid. But they're not driving Corvettes around here. But they're getting transportation to the stadium, right? They're being fed. And it's not the Sisters of the Poor here. BYU's got as much fundraising strength as anybody in the country. But Kalani will be the first to tell you, if a kid comes in and wants to talk NIL first, he'll just excuse him and say, we're probably not your place.
That's exactly what Rich Rod says.
Yeah. You have to if you want to build.
Well, and I think although our missions are different as, progress universities in a lot of ways, I think that the brands are similar. And both teams have played national championship games. Both teams have been around for a long time, really strong brands, really strong players throughout the years. And I think both have to go about their business a similar way, especially in this area.
What do you ask from your athletic department? You want your sports to be competitive enough to where the alumni stay linked to the university, because the alumni is where the fundraising comes from, to build new buildings, to hire new people, to build arenas, things like that. You've got to have your alumni base or you die as a university.
Right.
I never heard of Michigan's law school before I heard of Michigan's football team. Right.
That's for dang sure.
And we have a law school. Oh, okay. And so you gotta be good enough for your alumni to stay with you. And if you can do that, you're winning. Now, that doesn't mean you're ranked number 5 and you have a $5 million quarterback and you're going to go to the college football playoff. To a booster or to maybe a fan, that matters so much. But to your board of trustees and president and community and everyone that ever went to West Virginia, you know what you want to be? Proud of being from West Virginia. And when they call you and say, we need $50 to build a new whatever, you're like, I'm all in because I'm connected.
Absolutely.
And that's what sports, that's how BYU values sports. It's the connector. So what BYU TV was created for. It connects members of the church or the alumni and keeps them connected, no matter how spread out they get in the world. And when you can do that, you got a powerful group that That'll show up in athletics. It'll show up in academics. It'll show up in job placement, and it'll show up in how we feel about our alma maters, and that's important.
I love how much you love BYU, man. It's palpable. It comes through the screen, and that's exactly how I feel about West Virginia. So
good.
It's very important to me as well. I'll tell you what we'll do is let's get to some game keys and a prediction. I think it's about that time. We're running just a little over. It's not a big deal.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm probably talking too much.
No. It's okay. Not a big deal at all. Listen, I feel honored to have you on this show. You know, you're somebody that's, you know, in a position in life where I want to be someday. And, you know, although I'm happy with the situation, I would always love to, even though it may not be the conventional route that you've gone, would love to be in your situation someday in some capacity. And so I enjoy just listening, you know, so I appreciate your time. I really do. It means a lot.
My pleasure.
We'll be right back with the game keys and a prediction. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. And listen, when it comes to Mazda, it's pretty simple. We talk about it. We love it. Why? Because Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IHS top safety picks than anyone else as the 2025. Like our players, we sweat every detail. Because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant with Mazda. Move and be moved. And last but not least, our friends over at Game Time. Listen, when you're talking about Game Time, it's a pretty simple connection to make. They do it big. They do it bigger than anybody else. As a matter of fact, college football being backed, I couldn't be more excited about it. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's nothing like it. But let's be real, actually getting tickets feel a bit more like the battle than the game itself. I pulled up Game Time, and in a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your college football games for as low as $25. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today. That's swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today, and we'll be here waiting for you. And then you'll answer the question of all questions. What time is it? It's game time. And we are back here with Dave McCann of BYU TV, the Wise Guys podcast. And what's the name of the paper again?
Deseret News.
Almost remembered them all three. Deseret News.
Too many to remember. You're doing great.
Well, and 5'11", over 5'9". Okay, so I'll start first on the game keys because I've had a lot of time to ruminate on this, if you will. And, you know, the facts have come out little by little this week for West Virginia. We weren't sure at the beginning of the week whether there's going to be Nico Markiol. Then all of a sudden he self-redshirts and self-transfers. Then Jalen Henderson, who is dinged up and unfortunately can't go. Max Brown, who transferred in from Florida and Charlotte, is dinged up and probably not good enough to go. And now you're down to the redshirt freshman, who is a dynamo, no doubt about it, and exactly what you want out of a Rich Rod quarterback. So obviously, I think game key number one is get this kid into the flow of the game somehow. You've got to get him comfortable, and you've got to just be able to run the offense. You've got to be able to get a couple first downs. And that's just a pretty simple starting point. But one philosophy Rich Rod has and is almost undefeated when he gets more than 25 first downs. Why? Because of the tempo they run. Why? Because it puts defenses, it doesn't really matter what defense. When you're out on the field for 90 plays, you're in a bad spot. So that's number one. Number two, I think they have to score at least 30 points to win this game. I think, you know, our defense is good, but it's injured and tired right now. We're almost to the bye. And number three, I think, you know, last but not least, the offensive line has to figure it out this week and get push. If they can't, you know, it's going to be a long, long day at the office. And this is, you know, either the first or second best defense we played, both in the state of Utah. So I would say BYU's is better, but certainly Utah's is no slouch. So this is a tough game for West Virginia. It's a prove-it game for West Virginia. One thing about Rich Rod, and I showed Jerem this graphic, and then we'll kick it over to you, is, you know, last year at Jacksonville State, Rich Rod started out 0-3 with that team with 65 new players. They go 8-1 down the stretch and win the league. Now, this is absolutely a different level of competition. He was also in year 3 of that program, so it's not an apples to apples comparison. But one thing about Rich Rod is teams get better as the year goes on. Most teams do, but especially with Rich Rod, it's just the way he practices and the way he coaches, and he just can't stand losing. So they'll either get better or other guys will play until they do. My prediction, and listen, people have been laughing at me all week because I picked West Virginia to win 30-27. So you can laugh at me too. Yeah, you can laugh at me too.
I think West Virginia can win this football game. I'm not. And Vegas says BYU's favored by 19.5. We've all been around long enough to know that BYU might win by 45, but they might not. And when you get athletes on the field, anything can happen. My keys. I mean, this is a super big challenge, right? It's a really tough place to play. It's late at night. BYU is 32-4 in their last 36 night games. There's something about they just play better at night, and they're 14-1 in their last 15 night games on the road. Really, since Morgantown, they've been pretty different.
Jake Hatch said in this 10:30 window, it's even bigger. It's an even better record.
It's going to be late at night, and it's an awesome opportunity for some of these young players from West Virginia to be on ESPN and make a name for themselves. Yeah. So I'm not one of those of like, this is over, there's no chance. I just know that if roles were reversed, BYU would have to have the game of their life. And I'd wonder if they have enough guys to have the games of their life to offset what they're going up against. And for that, we'll see. Rich Rod's a good coach. He doesn't have his guys, right?
No.
When he's got a senior quarterback running his spread, you can't stop him. But he's got a redshirt freshman making his first start tomorrow night. He might be great, but that's not Rich Rod's plan, right?
No, it's not. The plan has not gone to plan.
No, that's not the plan. And you know what? Kalani's plan wasn't to play a true freshman quarterback this year either. It was, I'm playing a senior quarterback, and then Bear can sit behind Retzlaff and go. But, hey, here we are, right? So my keys for BYU, number one, and I know that's been the focus, is to start fast. They're down 14-0 in the first quarter against Colorado. They haven't started fast this season. So I look for BYU to have a fast start, meaning you get touchdowns on your first 3 possessions. You do whatever you got to do. You can't just show up in the second quarter and make amends. Not at this level of football. So since that's been their focus this week, I'll say a fast start. The second is turnovers. The team that turns it over is going to lose.
Of course.
And BYU is 4-0 because they've got 1 turnover the whole year. That was Parker Kingston on a punt. So that has to hold serve for the home team, and for the visiting team to come in and win, they got to force turnovers. So turnovers is that one. And then the third one is BYU's got to run the football, and they've got to stop the run. Yeah. Very basic, but we're talking about a very simple, basic game, right?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of intricacy to this game.
You make a team one-dimensional against their strength, and they're dead. And I think that's what BYU will aim to do, is to take away the run from West Virginia. And they want to run it, whether it's Bachmeier or Kingston on the end of rounds or L.J. Martin. They want to run it. They're pretty good in time of possession. And time of possession wears out a defense. And I think the second half is going to be in the middle of the night for West Virginia bodies. And that none of that adds up to an obvious good night for the out-of-towners. But all that being said, in this game, things change. And they usually change starting with a fumble or a tip pass and a pick. And then all of a sudden, the underdog starts to believe and the favorite starts to doubt. So if BYU comes out, starts fast, and just ends that notion of, hey, you're gonna surprise us and knock us up against the ropes, then that's going to be a long night for West Virginia, as it would be for anyone fighting Mike Tyson, who can't get Tyson into the later rounds when he's tired and then beat him, like Holyfield did a couple of times.
That's a great analogy. Because that's
early on, that first quarter is going to tell so much, because the fourth quarter is so late. And who knows, West Virginia's spirit could be broken by then, or they could be playing like Goliath. And I think ESPN's hoping for the latter, so that it's a great game all the way through. But those three keys are strengths for BYU, especially in protecting the football and forcing turnovers, running the ball and stopping the run, and then fast start would be priority number one. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means Bear's going to drop back and just chuck it deep. But I know that they want to get in the end zone. Red zone scoring has gotten a little better for them. Started sluggish, but show me a teenager in the country that's doing great in the red zone, right? And
Bear Bachmeyer, I don't know. Not in the red zone, but he's doing it right everywhere else.
And this will be your first run-in with Bear. It won't be the last. Whether BYU goes to Morgantown next year, the year after, this is the first showing of the Bear Bachmeyer era, and we'll just see how it goes. And when we have these conversations through the year, we'll kind of chart his progress.
Sounds fun, Dave. It's been a really good time, man. Loved having you on. I'm assuming you're going to pick BYU to win the game.
Yeah, I'm going to go 38-10. And
yeah.
And again, that might sound like, well, you just said West Virginia has a chance to win this game. They do. Absolutely they do.
Right.
But playing the strengths and playing in Provo is like BYU coming to Morgantown.
It's the same thing, yeah.
It's just different. And it's a tough assignment for the Mountaineers. But, BYU's going out to prove the exact same things, that they can win a game in this conference, whether they're at home or away, no matter who's playing. And I just love it. The intrigue of sports is why we watch.
It is, yeah. If Rich Rod and the company can somehow pull this off, I mean, imagine the momentum West Virginia now has going into the bye week with this redshirt freshman. It may feel like 2006 all over again, or you're back to the drawing board. Obviously, in 2006, you brought a kid named Pat White off the bench, along with Steve Slayton, and said, you know what, I'm going to play these young guys. And 6 overtimes later, you beat a good Louisville team, and just a legendary game. And obviously, those things happen once in a lifetime. Well, it's about time for another lifetime to happen because we need this to happen. But last point is, a lot of our fan base isn't patient, Dave. And I know that's not uncommon across college football, but I think because of the history with Rich Rod too, there's just a little bit less patience, and it sucks to deal with, to be honest with you, because he deserves some grace and patience. This is, at this point, I think we're bordering on year zero territory for him because of all these injuries. I mean, you've lost your top three. Right. We're running back and quarterback. I mean, Gene White was, a lot of people had him ranked the second. Some people had him ranked the first or third running back in the Big 12 coming into the year. And you lost him right out the gate and so on and so forth. You replace your top 8 offensive linemen. It's just, it's almost insurmountable. So, if we can, obviously pull this off, or if we can just play well with this quarterback in this game, it could give us a lot of hope going into the much needed bye week.
The game has changed so much, and it's not just the fans that are impatient, it's the players. And, you go into the transfer portal. No one wants to be the backup anymore. I mean, BYU had a run in history where at practice you'd have Jim McMahon and Steve Young and Mark Wilson, all 3 NFL Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. And 2 of them decided to wait their turn. That doesn't happen anymore. And
is Ryder going to wait his turn?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
he's in high school and then he's going on a church mission, so there's some time bought in.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a very lucky thing for you guys.
Yeah, and there you go. And they plan it, right? But hey, the third string guy doesn't want to be the third string guy when someone's saying you can be our number 1 guy. So it's pressure on the coach to go win, to keep his current team together while he goes and tries to find new guys. And then when you get heat from the boosters as to why you're not just beating Pittsburgh, right? And although that's a super important game, and it's tough. It's tough to be a coach. It's tough because we're not patient. Watching the Cubs game today, every inning we were impatient with one thing or the other because we're fans and we want to win, and we want to win right now. And we look at what our neighbors are doing, and wow, they're just spending all this money on this and that. Why aren't we spending anything? And it makes it for a tough environment. But at least Rich Rod has been through it, knows how to do it, has a history of doing it, And if West Virginia fans who are awesome, I mean, Doug Paisley's one of my good friends, and he's the biggest West Virginia fan I know. And his son Brad is a big one too. And we had Doug on our live stream show earlier this week. And, and I was back there calling some baseball games, and, BYU fans and West Virginia fans, as far as just decent human beings, you
can't get much better.
We're a match.
You and I are two shining examples.
That's right. Now, if someone drinks a little too much, that changes things. But we're just a match of good people just trying to do good stuff, right?
Right.
And schools trying to do good things in their communities. And the Morgantown community loves West Virginia. It's all they got. The BYU.
We're in the Bible Belt as well, so there's a lot of Christians in West Virginia.
Yeah. And BYU is still that we have the Jazz up the street, but BYU is still the number one show in town around
it's an
here.
Amazing
Never mind what
town.
the Utes say. Don't listen to the Utes. BYU is still the show.
Those Utes were mean to me last week, man.
Were they?
They were really nasty. I'm talking really nasty. Some of them.
There's some good ones. Some of my
I'm
best
sure
friends.
there are. I'm sure
How
there
are some
are.
of my best friends?
Actually, there are. I met some that were. It's like it's like my old sponsor used to say. He would say, there's 10 math problems on the board. If 9 are right and 1 is wrong, you'll focus on the one that is wrong every time. Focus on the 9 that are right. And that's the Utah people from last week. There was one that was wrong, and I focused on, that 20 people or so that were just so rude. And because I'm biased towards BYU now, so they hated me. They were calling me an insurrectionist. Like they were like, oh my God, he's compromised because I went and visited Provo.
Yeah. Well, they're going to visit Provo here in a couple of weeks.
What a game that's going to be! Game day better be there.
That will be awesome. But
we're going to try to ruin that for you. But if we don't, game day better be there.
Well, I tell you, on our pregame show tomorrow, it's like a West Virginia show. We've got, let's see, Kevin.
Oh yeah, let everybody know that.
Jeff Hostetler and Tavon Austin. It's like a whole Hall of Fame is coming on BYU Sports Nation game day. We start at 8:30 Eastern time on BYU TV, which everyone back there gets on their basic cable, or on ESPN Plus. And 2 hours of coverage in the stadium and guys warming up and a bunch of great stories. And then after the game, we're back on the air for our live post-game show on ESPN Plus and the BYU TV app. But we do it pretty big out here, and since we got half the West Virginia alumni on the show, I encourage all West Virginia fans to tune us in and check us out. And here's what you'll get: fairness, respect, kindness, and we'll treat you just as you'd hope to be treated, and as we would want you to treat us.
To it.
And that's how we roll out here. And those fans that are here from Morgantown, I don't know how the game's going to go, but when that moon comes over the mountain and it's just a special place. Morgantown's special, so's Provo. And it's about time. You've never even been here before. So I still don't know, Paul, why you didn't make this trip, because it is historic for all of West Virginia.
Yeah. But
we'll try to do our best to represent.
I'm not gonna lie. Like the state of our team had a little bit to do with that.
Yeah.
It was a pretty penny for me to get up there, and I'm thinking, well, I don't really know if I want to waste it this year. I'll go back up in a couple of years, which I'm going to visit again before then. Actually, my mom and I were talking about this the other day. We enjoyed it up there so much that we're probably just going to take a trip up and go see it, because we there were some things that we didn't get to do that we still want to do. So. It was really a special trip, especially for my mom and I. We haven't been on a vacation together in a long time. So it was fun. And, Explore Utah Valley was so awesome to us. And you guys were awesome to us when we came in the studio. And I got to watch your segment where you talked about the top, I think it was the best tight ends ever. In BYU history, you guys did a segment on some of the best tight ends in history. It was a fun time.
Well, we're here for you. You can come see us anytime. We'll see you tomorrow night. I know we're 1,916 miles of country road from Morgantown to Provo, but we'll be connected tomorrow. And thankfully, through sports, we make this connection or we never would. So
That's
awesome.
true. 100% true. He's Dave McCann. He's with BYU TV. He writes for the Deseret
News, Deseret.com.
And the Wise Guys podcast, which sounds like a fun thing too. I'm going to go subscribe to that as soon as I get off here. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on, man. And I'll be watching you guys tomorrow night.
It's an honor to be with you. And it's great to have West Virginia in town. We look forward to this relationship for years and years.
Agreed. We'll see you guys on the next one as well. Don't forget, guys, we're your team every day. I record 7 days a week here, multiple times a day, multiple 30-minute shows a day. We grind around here. So if you're all about that West Virginia life, this is your place to get it. And every single night we end the show with Cue Those Country Roads.